Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our first Insight from Entrepreneurs session. I'm Tunja Kali, Marketing and Training Manager at Duquesne University Small Business Development Center. So we're excited to bring to you our first Insight from Entrepreneurs session, and moving forwards, we will be offering these every month. So every month, we will be bringing entrepreneurs, small business owners, sharing their experiences, expertise, and suggestions to other entrepreneurs. Today, we have Francois Go. He is the owner and CEO of GrowthHive Strategy, focusing on business development, marketing agency, and primarily focused on manufacturing. So Francois was actually our client. I think it was back in 2018, right, Francois?
Correct.
Came to us for acquisition, and he acquired successfully the business, and now he's in business and grew a lot over the last couple of years. So yeah, since we have 30 minutes, I want to let Francois talk as much as possible instead of me, but I will be monitoring the chat. If you have any questions, just feel free to put your questions in the chat. Okay, Francois, floor is all yours.
Thank you, Duncan, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francois Gao. So I've been asked to do a bit of this is the first one. I've been asked to give insight from an entrepreneur perspective on what I've been able to do and how did I use the SBDC and other tools to get some traction into the market. So it's going to be a little bit on the leadership style and more or less into how do you get things done and challenge and lead your teams to kind of win. So of course, great, it works. Yes. So my plan was to do about a 15 to 20 minute just kind of general introduction, background, insight, and trends conversation. Talk a little bit about GrowthHive and how we got there. Talk a little bit about me and how I got there, and talk a little bit about lesson learned along the journey and things you guys can apply in your journey and in your lives, and some bit of a trends and kind of like a looking ahead a bit. And we had the fortunes of having a really good economy expert, Cliff, from the MAPI, giving us an update about a week and a half ago. So if anybody wants to talk about the economic forecast and whatnot, that's actually on our website, and I'll give you all the directions later on how to get there. But it's a good overlook of what's going on between Ukraine and Russia and the supply chain of this and that. So good stuff ahead. So about me, I'm going to start with that because it's kind of what Tunga and team at the SBDC asked me to do. My background is as you can see probably behind me, I'm an aerospace guy. So I was born and raised in Toulouse in France, which is the Seattle of Europe. This is where the Airbus are being designed and many of them are made. And my dad was in Concorde, one of the first few employees, and he retired many, many years ago from Airbus, and had the pleasure through the 70s of going through almost a bankruptcy of Concorde and the birth of Airbus. And I'm a pilot. It's one of my hobbies. And I do have a passion for aerospace. So I started a company called Honeywell. You guys may know the name. One of the Fortune 50 companies here in the US. I was obviously an accountant, and then anything I could do for the shop in Toulouse where I started, and grew my way through the ranks all the way to becoming a director in Phoenix, Arizona for what we call the NOVA program. Was essentially I had $20 million of money to go invest into adjacent markets. So white space, looking ahead of trends and technologies and figuring out what's coming and what we can do with what we got or not, and make some decisions on what to invest the next wave for Honeywell growth. Part of that was the repair of aircraft engines using laser beams and eventually 3D printing as they do it now. I was recruited by a company here in Pennsylvania called Kennametal. You guys may have heard of them. They're in Latrobe, PA. I was recruited to set up and run the aerospace business. So remember, I was in a 120,000 employee corporation. I went down to a 10,000 people organization here in PA. And everybody out there was looking at me and says, "You're going to where? Who?" Nobody ever heard of the name Kennametal in all my constituencies. Actually, I didn't even know that we had machines to make stuff, right? I was in the aftermarket. The only thing I cared about is having a box with a label on the shelf at the right location at the right time. Great. Now, I was recruited here and I run the strategic markets for a while. I also, in 2012 or 13, I don't even remember exactly, I was promoted to Vice President, Strategic Marketing and Business Development, working for the CMO and the CEO and all the business unit leaders. Essentially led the corporate strategy team for all verticals. I led the M&A and business development team, and I put to market a disruptive approach called Novo for Kennametal, which was way ahead of its time back then. So 2003, when I joined Kennametal, we're about $1 billion, just reached it. And when I left in 16, we went down to 2.7, but the peak was in 2015 at 3.2 billion. So we multiplied the value of the company by 3. Huge learning experience for me as a person. Thankful for the experience with Kennametal. I left there in 2016. Wanted to do something different, and that's about what I want to say on this. And I founded velocityHUB here in Pittsburgh, essentially buying a franchise and becoming a consultant. That's where the true north seemed to be for me. I had a lot of people calling me, "We don't have a job, but can you come in for 3 or 4 months and fix us up?" We just bought a unit in Texas. We bought a unit in Oklahoma. We bought a unit in Kansas. One is making stamping. The other one is making carbon fiber things. The third one is making, we don't know. Can you put them together for us and make it a super tier 2 player? And that was number 1. I got many of those. Very successful. velocityHUB second year, I was actually making more money than I used to make at Kennametal, which was interesting. And in that journey, I needed marketing done for my clients at velocityHUB. Then I kind of came to an old friend here, Dave Levy, which used to do my catalog when I was at Kennametal for the aerospace business. And I said, "Dave, hey, I need some help. I've got lots of customers, need some marketing stuff. Can you help me with that?" And he said, "Of course." And in the conversation, something happened. And then I said, "Well, what's your succession plan?" "Well, really, frankly, I don't have one." So I said, "Hey, when you decide to sell, just call me and we'll see what happens." And it's not about a year into the relationship that Dave turned back to me and said, "Hey, I'm ready to sell. What do you want to buy?" And that's where I went to the SBDC. I said, "Help." I came from 120,000 employee company called Honeywell to a 10,000 company called Kennametal to a 1 company called velocityHUB. So at that point, I've extended all my resources. I could not really do that acquisition whilst running velocityHUB. So I'm glad I found the team and bought Levy in June 2018. And I'll talk about it a bit later. The stock was a little rocky. And we got COVID on top of that and so forth. But right now I'm the CEO of this new company called GrowthHive, which just rebranded ourselves about 2 or 3 months ago from Levy Industrial, because it didn't carry what it is we wanted to do. Levy Industrial was a little too cornery and not descriptive, whereas GrowthHive is giving us a little more freedom to operate, just to get the kid out of the bag. We're growing at the rate of about 50% year over year right now. And we've been positive in cash flow, positive in profitability for about year and change. So it took us 3 years to get there. Taking what was Levy and make it GrowthHive. So I'm going to jump into what we do. about 15 people right now. We lost a lot of legacy business back in the 18. At the time, we were a advertising agency, I would say, using print. So going to trade magazines and placing ads and taking 20, 15%, 20%, 25% on that. And all the customers I talk to, knowing me from the digital side, says, "No, we don't want to do that anymore. Do you have anything else?" I'm like, okay. We started to rebuild the business plan from my days at velocityHUB, and before that at Kennemerall, learning what worked and put it again in place here at GrowthHive. And we've become this business development company now. What does that mean? That means we're taking a customer in the beginning of the journey, usually because it's industrial, nuts and bolts, and we're putting them on a path to be managing clients digitally, managing prospects, attracting suspects, using automation and marketing and other types of tools, connecting to ERP. What's amazing to me is we don't connect with our current customers. With many of the companies I work with, it's the easiest form of upselling, selling to your customer. It's the easiest way of making growth, and we don't do that. And we onboard them, we create material, we send materials, we curate lists of contacts. Usually they're on a piece of paper somewhere called a business card. So we digitize all this, we acquire this information and start bringing them to the journey of the future, which is owning your customer contact, because that's the most valuable asset today in a company besides people is customer contact and connections. Machines, yeah, we can talk. So my vision from the very beginning is to make marketing count. I was so frustrated when I was in corporate. I spent millions of dollars a year in marketing activities. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
There was something happening, like a police thing, and it's not for me. So when I was in corporate, what was really infuriating is the fact that we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in a campaign and we cannot see the direct return of that because we had to work with multiple different agencies. There was no connectivity. There was no trail to cash from the beginning of an engagement with a client, with a prospect even. And when I had the opportunity to rethink my business model, I said, make marketing count. This is what we want to be. This is where we're going. So again, deliver consistent, measurable BD impact to industrial companies. This is our mission. If you think like me, numbers, and you're spending $10,000 a year on marketing, and you're not seeing $100,000 of additional sales for that $10,000, we're not doing our job, giving the leads and giving the conversions that you need to get to 100K. It's a 10X number that you need to dial in to get the benefits. So that drives my values: quality work, value, meaning it's got to be 10X, and stability, meaning one thing that's very different with GrowthHive is we tend to be more personal. I still cover about 20, 30% of the accounts, and I've hired people in account management. That's what they do. They providing stability to our customers. So I didn't get there in a day. Okay, this took us 3 years to get to GrowthHive and make it humming. Like I said, in the beginning, I lost about 30% of our business to, well, they didn't want to do it anymore. We faced COVID in the middle of that. Right up. I just bought it in June 2018. Guess what? February 20, boom. Here's COVID. Welcome. So that prompted us to actually invest. During that period, we invested about $250,000 in restructuring our software and making sure our business model was correct. And since then, we've doubled our customer base. We're now profitable and actually growing about 50% now, year over year. So didn't happen by itself. the insight I'm going to give you, and then you can read all this stuff and you can go on my website if you want to see more of it, or we can have a call later on. But this is about people. It's always been in my entire career. I had very large teams to manage, sometime in the hundreds, at different point in my career, sales, marketing, engineering, you name it. We got to inspire. If we're not inspiring our people, if we don't challenge them, because it's the race to money otherwise, I mean, it's the pay me, instead of challenge, and leading them. If you don't do that, well, they're not going to follow you. The other thing that's important to me is be fair and listen. One thing I've learned from sales is the best salesperson I've ever been with were active listeners. And it's the same if you apply it to people, listen to them, talk to them. I have a big thing I call management by walking, which is MBW. Every time I got a chance to be in the office, remember, I've got a chance to be in the office, right? This is the way I think. If I have an opportunity to be in the office, I want to meet with my team. I want to have conversations. I just don't want to have a report meeting on Tuesday at 7 a.m. And it's always the same thing, right? It's not. We need to have conversation. We need to be fair. We need to listen. And something I've learned the hard way multiple times in my career is hire for culture, not for skills. Skills can be acquired, can be developed, but culture, no. That doesn't work. So as a matter of fact, unfortunately, GrowthHive as we know it today, I would say half of the people are new, but we have the same number of people than we started, and we're doubling the outcome, the output. You see what I mean? It's a culture of, that we want to hire for, that we want to hire people that are dedicated, that are motivated, that are, if I want to put one word, is they're going to drive you instead of you driving them. That's the kind of thing, the way I think. The other thing that SBDC asked me to kind of put a bit on is the marketing of self or business. I think it's always on. I'm going to a golf event next weekend. I'm going to a concert. I'm going to an invitation or whatever I'm doing. It's on. It's my brand. This is what you see is what you get right there. A golf shirt and kind of big bear type personality, always on, always positive. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to die. And this is about your business. And this is the famous 56 seconds. What's your elevator speech? That's the average ride in New York City, or used to be. Somebody actually measured that. And the next thing I'm going to say is work on your business, not in your business. And I make a huge distinction between the two. I think I actually wrote a couple of papers that they're on my blog somewhere out there. This is the idea that we think you should reserve about 20% of your time to work on your business. If you work on pushing orders and looking at everything on an engineering drawing and making sure the machine's going to work, and that's in. You're not working on. On is going after new business, new strategy, new acquisitions, new divestitures. My product portfolio line is my whatever, right? That's on your business. And for those that are interested, just drop me a line and I'll point you out to some of the writings I've done. And if you need me to coach you and help you, I'll be more than happy to, because this is something I really like doing, helping people out. And the next thing that the SBDC asked me to kind of focus on is managing the business. What's inside? I think it boils down to this. If you don't have a vision, why are you coming to work every day? Maybe spend some time on it. The vision is critical. When I approached the SBDC 4 years ago, it will not matter, maybe more now. 4.5 years ago. When I approached the SBDC, I had this vision. Make marketing count. I'm going to buy Levy and we're going to create this and we're going to build it and we're going to do that. Well, it took me a hell of a lot more time than I thought it would, but we're getting there because I had this vision. It's changed over time because, well, the world changed, but the vision hasn't really. Make marketing count was still in my first business plan draft that I shared was the SBDC. The mission has evolved. That's granted. And the goals obviously have changed over time. But my strategy is very simple. You can see it on the bottom, on the upper right. It's focused on the people that make or help make things. That's what we do. Well, we're working with makers. Ben and Jerry, no. Nike, no. But at Acme Manufacturing, yeah, we can help you. Automate, eliminate nonsense work. That's been in my DNA since I started the journey way back. Think strategically, predict what's going to happen, act and adjust, and innovate relentlessly. Cut the crap. I got dozens of emails a day of new marketing whoopla. Get 50,000 leads tomorrow morning by 7 a.m. Pay $2. Nah, that doesn't work. All right. Listen, elbow grease is what you need. So I had this vision. We kind of shaped the mission, and we have pretty ambitious goals, but they're also SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Right. So this is the sort of things you bring to your entrepreneurship. Once you have that strategy, stick to it. Like I see so many failures because people change direction where the wind's coming. Right? You can't do that. If you're going after manufacturers, don't take a bank. Sorry, love you, but can't do it. The other thing I'm going to say to you, your working capital requirements as indicated by the bank or the business development person that's helping you, double that. Hard way. I had to put 2x the money I plan to put into the business over time to make it what it is today. Everybody I talk to is in the same boat. Working capital, specifically when you're growing, is a pretty rare commodity. The last thing I'm going to say on the insight side of things, plan for the good and the bad. Strategy is making choices, the hard ones. And you have to be kind of looking at it that way. In closing, I'm going to say, I just took a picture of what's actually on my wall here. If you can see it, that's a frame that I took a picture of. Don't settle for the status quo. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to innovate or be disrupted. Think strategically, act quickly, adjust as required. I had this framed by an artist about 5-6 years ago, and I have it on top of my desk every time I come in the morning. That's what I look at. Don't worry about the stuff around you that you cannot do anything about. Yeah, change is the new normal. COVID's here to stay. Inflation will eventually pass. Bubble may burst. China, Russia, Ukraine, UFOs, whatever's happening out there. I can't control this. However, what I know is my market share is really small. I don't care about this. I care about that. And then go at it every day like there is no tomorrow. And what's your value proposition? What's your difference? And keep plowing. 10, 12, 15 hours a day. That's what it takes. You're an entrepreneur. I have 15 people now. I went through 120, 10,000, 1, back up to 15. I'm a long way from 120, but that's not even in the plans. So I'm going to stop here. I think we got a few minutes to take some questions, and I'm going to flash a screen here because I think we got to do a little bit of a promotion on the SBDC as well. So anybody's got a question? I don't see anything in the chat box. Tunka?
Yeah, no questions in the chat. Any questions to Francois? Okay, let me ask you this, Francois. So has there been a situation where you felt very desperate, like you tried everything, whether it's with a client or your business, and you struggled, tried everything, didn't work? So how did you navigate through that situation?
I'll tell you, when you have that sinking feeling on your stomach, right?
Yeah.
When this is your baby, this is your invention, this is your hard work. And well, you're just, I always go back to Tesla, right? I happen to I've owned two of those, and I'm still owning one. And I was one of the first in Pennsylvania to buy one. I had to go to Cleveland because we couldn't buy one here in Pennsylvania because it was not allowed by legislation. So if you look at them, they've always been 1 week off bankruptcy. But they're one of the most valuable companies in the world right now. So there's something to be said about this. As an entrepreneur, that will happen. It happened to us, like I would say, multiple times. I have a hard time counting them in my head because it's every week, every month, something's going to happen. The system broke. Our customers is not happy. The bank is not helping us. We can't get a loan. All these bad news pile up, and there's moments in time where you want to give up, right? I remember having some conversation with my family and says that I got enough of this. It's time maybe to sell and then do something else. But there's always that drive that comes back the next day, and you climb up that hill, and then you go back through those steps again, and then on you go till the next one, right? So it's gonna happen. Yes, there's been multiple times of that happening to us. When you lost 30% of your business in the first quarter of operation and you have to pay the bills, bad news. So yeah, good question. It happens.
Any other question for Francois? Yeah, there is one question in the chat, Francois.
Okay.
Can you see it?
You can talk about it if you want me to.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Unfortunately, there is not a hell of a lot of inexpensive ways. I don't know what expensive means to you, but it's time. And the expense is time, mostly, to repair those broken relationships. The other expense is probably a little bit or digging into the working capitals. So to me, this is a one-to-one relationship with your clients that have been badly, this is what I see, kind of badly handled. The one thing you do, and I did all the time, even in big corporate, believe me, that happened more than you think. It takes 10 years to create a relationship. It takes 10 minutes to kind of destroy it, okay? So if you screw around just to keep polite in this conversation, which is recorded, you gotta first admit that this happened, and here's a recovery plan, and beg for the second chance. And
yeah,
sometimes, sorry,
I've actually traveled to go see someone, our best client. He hasn't ordered yet, but I'm hopeful. He was very open to me talking to him, but he had been treated very poorly here.
That's unfortunate. It happens. And then I was thinking that you got in the same shoes as I got in. I just bought that place and I meet my top 3 customers, and it's a consistent feedback. We didn't like working with you, so bye-bye. I'm like, shoot, I'm not going to see any more customers at that rate, right? So no, I think you're on the right path. To me, this is like acknowledge that we've screwed up, just to keep it polite, and offer the olive branch and say, how can I make up to you? I mean, is the next 10 parts going to be for free? What can I do to prove up that I can be what you want us to be? I want to be in your life. I want to be in your supply chain.
I actually took our cost of goods with me to the meeting to show him in a good faith effort, and when I came back, I started crunching the numbers again and found out if I buy in bulk, I could get it even lower. So I told him that, but I still haven't heard back from him yet. I'm hoping.
Well, you might want to keep on it, but the second piece of advice is be patient, right?
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, I know we got payroll to run and machine to pay and office rent and whatnot. All that stuff counts, but the fact of the matter is a relationship will take time to repair and rebuild. And it's going to cost you money. Unfortunately, I hope I did answer your question. There's no inexpensive ways.
Okay.
Like sending a postcard and says, I'm sorry, it's not good enough.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question to Francois? Okay, one last question then, Francois.
Yes.
What are your some habits, routines that daily you follow and you think those make you efficient, productive in your work?
That was a very good question. So actually, it's almost like a religion more than habits. I'm working 7 to 7, 5 days a week. I try to break away on Saturday. Don't look at my computer. Don't look at my phone. Don't look at my emails, unless it's a super emergency and they know how to reach me. But my habit is not to extend myself over the 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's one of the very strong habits that I developed over the years, because you can be swimmed into this and never see the light again. So, because there's always an email, there's always something, there's always a Facebook thing, there's always a LinkedIn thing, there's always all kinds of things happening. But hey, the brain here has got to slow down a bit. That's one big habit. The second big habit that I developed over the years is I usually don't take meetings before 8 o'clock in the morning and after 5 p.m. in the evening. That gives me time in the morning to do prep for the day. What is the one thing that must be done today? One. That's it. The rest of it can fit in. But what is the one thing I need to do today? So that's the second habit, right? Planning my day in the morning, planning with Slack into it. For those of you guys that have been PMPs, program managers, building Slack into a project is what you need to do, because the proverbial thing that's called S that goes and hit the fan is going to happen during the day. So do not overcommit yourself. Build some time in your day for the unplannable. I would recommend about 20-30% of your time is not committed during the day. So that's my 3 things. 7 to 7, 5 days a week. One thing to be done every day. That's it. One. And 20 to 30% of uncommitted time every day. If you can get to that, it works.
Perfect. Any other question before we close?
Are we going to send that presentation or anything to the listeners?
Yeah, we'll upload the recording to our YouTube channel,
Okay.
but not the slide deck. But yeah, if you need the slide deck, just let me or let Francois know. Francois, can you share your contact information?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat box. I don't know if that's. Oops. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. There's only one of me, so that's probably the easiest way. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Francois. Thanks everybody
Thanks,
for joining
guys.
us.
Thanks, the SBDC, for the opportunity. You guys are very helpful.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Francois.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. Take care, everybody.